Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup podcast, episode 149. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
Good. Food hungover from 2 Thanksgivings of way
Nice,
overeating.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to all. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about this week in Magic news. Mainly going to be Magic this week. We got the MSRP we've talked about, but now there's rumors of a direct-to-consumer, kind of like PokemonCenter.com. And then we have smaller number of boosters in a box.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the Black Friday weekend sale and Hasbro sued. Musk buys D&D and Hasbro?
Question mark.
And we're going to talk about how our sales were over this Black Friday weekend. And then we're going to get into some economics and what these Canadian and Mexico day one tariffs might mean, continuing last week's conversation. So we're going to start where we usually do. Did you play anything this week?
I did not. I missed my day. There was one day where I had the opportunity because, holidays, everyone's
I was expecting the answer to be 0. My answer was barely.
Yeah. And the day I was going to do it, I was kitten sitting because we have captured an outdoor kitten and are getting it used to being an indoor kitten. And that means it needs to be watched. It's very cute, but also very spicy. It's a very spicy kitten. So it's trying to figure out whether it wants to be an indoor cat or not. We think we got this one because we've done this a couple times, catch them and neuter and all that stuff, release all the stuff. And this one seems like it's the most likely to join our house, but we will see.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, it was good. It was sad that I missed Magic, but it turns out no one else could make it anyway. So, but I think I was the one that kind of put the kibosh on it. People were like, "I'll do it later, maybe after this or that," and then it just kind of fell apart when I was like, "I can't." Unfortunate. But
well, I would categorize that as a valid excuse on top of a holiday weekend.
Yeah, it was all good. So you didn't get to play anything at all?
Just some Arena.
Yeah, still on Foundations draft.
Yeah, and I didn't draft it all this week because I drafted a lot last week and burned through all my gold, and I'm questioning whether I burned through my gems or not with it.
Gotcha.
So we'll see, because I have enough gems now to do the Arena Direct for Foundations.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is Arena Direct?
That's the one where if you win 6, you get a box. Sent to you.
I thought that was a one-time thing. They're doing that constant?
Yeah, they've done it for they did it for Outlaws, they did it for MH3. I think that's
kind of cool. Yeah. I didn't know they were doing it for all of them. Oh, that's cool. I thought it was like a one-off kind of tournament thing. No. Neat. That's cool. I like that they're doing that.
Yeah, they're more expensive, but
so I do have to throw this into this. Did you hear this Commander video game thing?
Yeah. Oh, we should talk about that.
Yeah, that wasn't on our list, but we should talk about that. What do you think about that?
I think it's genius.
You think it's actually going to happen, though?
Yes, 100%.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I put it at about 50% because it was something that was kind of tossed out there as somewhat of a statement, rumor, whatever. Mm-hmm. And considering how long it took them to get Arena to like functional levels.
Yeah, but tech is different now.
But tech wasn't different in the last 2 years, and they could barely get things working in Arena in the last couple of years.
No, I think it's based on what Arena is built on.
Yeah, that's an excuse that's used.
Yeah.
If you're willing to commit the money, you can rewrite the whole thing.
Yes.
The art imports and stuff obviously would be difficult, but it's definitely doable.
Because it came out, I guess it came out in 2019, so it's not that long ago, but.
Yeah, Arena isn't, and they've struggled with it over the entire period that they've had it.
Maybe they just hire capable people to do.
Well, so here's the thing, and I guess this kind of leads into the other topic, right? Musk was talking about a video game. Mm-hmm. Musk was talking about buying Hasbro for D&D. I'm not entirely sure what the foundation of that was exactly, but it was mentioned that he wanted to buy D&D. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing because he wants to make a video game and he wants IP that people actually like. So if that is part of this, which I doubt, I honestly doubt, I don't think those two rumors are tied together. The Chris Cox rumor about Commander, being a thing. Mm-hmm. then you could have a studio with all the IP kind of tied together into a singular, well-funded video game for Hasbro IP sort of thing. Now, that would be neat. Chances of it happening? Really,
50%?
Really We're talking about multiple people that make lots of big promises and never follow through.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it actually happening. The Commander thing, maybe. I think it's probably in the works. But again, going from alpha to real that's a trick, man.
Yes, it is.
And then how excited are you to buy all your cards again to play it that way?
Oh, I would just do the same thing I do as Arena and do free to play.
If it happens, if it has it.
Sure. And I think it would. I think it would be very similar to Arena, where they would try and just get the numbers on as a free to play, and they would have starter decks.
So if it's going to be the same as Arena, why isn't it just in Arena?
Because then they can sell you your cards again.
Yeah, I guess that's actually a really good point. That's probably why.
And then they can also, with, I thought about this, the Commander decks moving forward after this game will come with a code where you can play your Commander deck online.
Yeah.
And it adds those cards to your inventory. So you buy a physical deck, you get it on Arena so you can play with your friends.
I mean, big question marks on that. When does Hasbro ever give anything away?
It'd be similar to the 6-packs you get in the pre-release for Arena. So when you buy a pre-release
I revert my statement. I think you're correct. Yeah. You know why? Yeah. Because the cards in the Commander decks are not typically like all the best cards. It's a lot of like generic stuff that you just get again and again and again. So you buy that deck and you only get like 10 new cards in your Arena client because that's how those Commander decks actually work. I forgot about that. So yeah, no,
and they're not the fancy versions, so you can still sell packs to get the foil versions or the etched foil or fancy borderless. You just get the basic cards in the.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't trust that.
But I mean, just think about it with these IPs and stuff. Their Fortnite-ificationing of it would only lend to benefit in Arena and this Commander game. But
yeah, but it requires executing. Executing is the part they fail at when it comes to these things. So I mean, if they can get it, all is great. All these things make sense, but actually running a video game studio that can actually manage this correctly? Question mark.
Correct. Question mark. Yes. Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking if it does happen, what it would do.
I feel like this is another one of those let's buy a movie studio sort of debacles.
Oh, yeah. And then never actually come out with anything.
let's buy a video game studio. They did come out with one movie. So it's like, so let's create a video game studio when we already have people working on a video game. Like it feels like such a distraction or I mean, would I love for it to be in Arena?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're going to market it and brand it as a new game, and they're going to market it as Commander, which is what most people know as Magic.
Yeah, I can't believe they can't get it to work in Arena. I mean, I understand there's like back-end issues that they'd have to rewrite the whole back-end, but you're going to have to rewrite that to do a new thing. So it's like, why not just go through the freaking effort?
Maybe they're just scared.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, selling the cards a third time will definitely add to the value as to why not to.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the Commander sets that don't come to Arena. So they'd have to bring in a lot more cards.
That's true. Yeah, that would be weird. I wonder how that will work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they skip all those sets.
Yeah, and all the old cards, because Commander can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That would be weird. We'll see. We shall see.
But now that they have the rules, maybe
that's actually a good point.
Maybe this got kicked off when they took over from.
Because then they don't have to worry about having to react to some outside party.
Yep.
That's actually a really good point. That might be part of it. Well,
and how they came out with that article about how they were setting up all the different like brackets and stuff. So you'll have different brackets on.
Yeah, you could build it all into it and actually do like even tournaments and stuff in there. Yeah, that's true. Now that they actually manage and control it and can say what's what. It's a different prospect, less risky for a business to do.
Yeah, because now it's not. Oh, this isn't synced up with what it's supposed to be, even though it's a fan-made format.
So,
yeah.
Will they get sued over this?
Oh, over the Commander video game?
No, I'm joking. It was a bad transition to the Hasbro being sued. Because apparently they falsified their information about, well, I guess, so I read it and I don't know, this kind of lawsuit. I'm not super familiar with big companies being sued by shareholders, right? I've seen it maybe a few times. So everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. This is not a professional opinion of any sort. But I read this as salty investors didn't like what happened to their stock, and now they're trying to blame Hasbro. Now, did Hasbro misrepresent their information? I'd probably say so. It was during the period of 22-23. They said that they were building inventories in direct parallel with increasing demand or something of that nature, right? Mm-hmm. Because they had 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 quarters of record-breaking sales, as you remember, during the pandemic craze. And what was really happening was demand was starting to drop off. But the reality is, when you're working on a company, like any large company that takes this amount of time, it takes forever. Everything's a trailing indicator, right? So you don't even know that you're actually in a downturn until after the downturn's probably almost over, right? And so it's and Rudy talks about this all the time. You hear him talk about it. It's like, we didn't know that was the top. We didn't know for another 9 months, right? Well, Hasbro has slightly better data. They knew maybe 6 months, after the top, but they didn't know during those periods that they were reporting that they were increasing inventory with demand, because they thought demand was still good. We just had a little slowdown, right? That's what everyone thought. So I find this to be kind of a silly lawsuit. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I'd be surprised if they could nail them on saying something that is a exact lie, essentially, and actually misrepresenting to shareholders, which is what the lawsuit is that they misrepresented the situation, when in reality markets fluctuate, inventories, everyone got caught. And this isn't just Hasbro, like across industries, everyone got caught with too much inventory. So what, are you going to sue every company? No, other companies aren't being sued. Hasbro is being sued. So they either said something very specific, which they shouldn't have, in which case they deserve the lawsuit. But I doubt, because all those things go through a lot of corporate lawyers before anything is said, right? It's not like they just willy-nilly say things, right? That's all very well orchestrated before any quarterly statement comes out to shareholders, because you can be sued.
Yes.
So I don't know. I find it a little strange and silly. I think it's probably more of a protest situation than anything. But I guess we'll find out what happens. There isn't that much detail on it yet, other than during this period of 22-23, they claimed that inventories were rising in alliance or in parallel with rising demand. And in reality, demand was falling off. But again, I don't know that they could see that at that point. Obfuscation through the distros and all that stuff.
Right.
I don't think anyone knew at 22-23 period that it was that bad.
Yeah. I'm just trying to.
And they're back to making large profits. So
yeah,
that's the other part. It's like by the time this even hits the courts, every shareholder has made their money back. So it's like, what are you complaining about again? What harm was caused?
Yeah. And Musk just talking about it boosted the price.
Yeah, right? Like, oh my God. If he buys Hasbro, I don't know what I would even think about that. I'm not sure how I can.
Yeah, how would you react if
I don't know, man.
If we're living in a universe where Musk owns
D&D and Hasbro and Magic, and what does he do with it? Like, because he's so ADD. Like, how many things has he promised? Like, what self-driving Teslas? That was like 20 years ago. He promised that or something. It's ridiculous. Like, so we will never get the Commander client if he promises it.
No, he's going to promise self-playing Magic cards.
I don't know, man. If Musk takes over D&D,
self-writing D&D campaigns.
I don't know. I just hope he stays out of it, because I don't know what he would actually contribute. He's not a game designer in any way.
No. He would just be like, make the numbers go up.
Yeah, he's busy with other things, hopefully. Launch some rockets or something. I don't know. It's such a weird thing. I don't know why that shot. Like, if you guys know, leave in the comment where that came from. Like, why did he suddenly want to buy D&D? I just saw that he tweeted it, and I'm like, what? It's like, okay. That's all I got for that. Black Friday.
Yeah. I've been selling some stuff on eBay and TCG Player, taking advantage of the sale. eBay, there isn't really a sale, but what I learned was before when I was selling on eBay, I typically sell my sealed on eBay and my singles on TCG Player. And before I was selling sealed, when I was selling the sealed on eBay, I would actually take pictures of the specific box and post it. This time I was lazy and on my couch and didn't feel like doing that. And so I just used the TCG Player basic photos of the box, like the standard ones. It sold a lot better.
That's funny.
So, because I was all concerned, like, oh, well, what if they want this, like, how well is it sealed? Because some of this is older product, right?
Yeah.
And especially the Pokemon stuff. Didn't matter. It just sold with
Laziness
the standard.
wins.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if it just makes you look more official or what.
Yeah. It makes sense. It does look more professional if you're using the professional shots.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I haven't sold on eBay in a while. I don't know if I will, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's about the same profit margins, but as a larger audience because it's international as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to sell international.
Well, they make it really easy. Essentially, it doesn't affect you at all. You just ship it to an eBay representative and then they ship it international.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So once they get it, you're good. You don't have to wait for the whole shipping it.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool.
They basically, you send it somewhere close to you and then they deal with getting it overseas, but they mark it as received when they get it.
That's useful. Maybe I will look into that then.
Yeah. So for sealed, you get a larger audience.
Yeah, because I definitely have some sealed stuff that international might do better. Yeah, that's a good trick.
If something's not selling on TCG Player, throw it up on eBay, see if it moves.
Yeah. I might have to do that. Speaking of things not selling on TCG Player, I sold a ton of stuff, but Fab, man, none of my sealed Fab sold. I didn't have that much, to be fair.
See,
I had a couple cases. But
that's funny because my Fab single sold.
Yeah, the singles I could see. So that's what I've noticed with Fab is whenever I put new singles up, they actually move pretty quickly. Yep. If they're within the rotation of like the classes that are played right now. Obviously, if you're illusionist and there's no illusionists or whatever, you don't sell it. But
I can
anything
tell you
within
there
rotation.
Are not. I went through all my Majestics last night. Looked whenever I got to the illusionist, I was like, oh, there has to be like a $5 to $20 card in here. No,
because they're not in rotation right now. I don't think there's an illusionist playing, is there, or in the meta?
Yeah, there is. No, not in the meta. It
that's
has
what
to
I
be
mean.
in the
That's
meta.
what I mean.
That's as I was going through it, there were a lot of cards that I was like, oh, this was a 90-cent card, but Majestic, but now it's a 5 to 10.
Yep. But it's interesting. It's definitely a singles market more than sealed because like
back when I was playing, even just like 6 months ago, the cards that were like $20-$30, a lot of them are like $3 now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when I went to that game thing. I was there with a bunch of people that play Fab, and they were like, "Oh yeah, anything Majestic is basically like a $5 to $10 card minimum." And
no, that's not true.
If it's in meta, it's in meta,
yes.
That's what I mean. It's always that's the caveat for everything for selling into Fab. If it's in meta, if it's not in meta, it's worth nothing. But so yeah, but as sealed boxes just don't seem to move. And cases even less so. Let's see. We did see. I'm just clicking through some
that's
stuff.
Why
it looks like there's some volume on Aria.
That's why I'm just like, do I just crack my boxes and sell singles?
I am very tempted. But it's really hard because a lot of the stuff I have is like first edition.
No, see, I'm just talking about like
stuff.
My most expensive box is an Arcane Unlimited, 100 something bucks.
Yeah. I might do it because I have Uprising and I don't remember one of the other ones.
There's not a lot in Uprising, which I was surprised with Hunted going up.
Well, I think once Hunted goes up and is part of the meta, then it will be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
you're already starting to see some cards spike with anticipation of Hunted. And I went through all my Uprising stuff, and there's not a lot. All the Draconic Illusionists, all the dragons and stuff, no. Because there's no Illusionist.
Gotcha.
The ninja stuff, the only thing that spiked was the actual card Uprising. And it spiked to like $10.
Well, maybe I won't then. I don't know what to do. I can't.
There was a lot of value in Everfest. There was a lot of value in Crew, actually. WTR.
Crew. I have some first edition cases I could crack. I feel
And that,
like that's
okay,
such
so
a bad idea.
I had a lot of learnings from this.
Lay it on
The
us.
first edition premium doesn't really exist much anymore
I
besides
know.
gold foil.
I know. That's why I'm like, it's so sad.
I was looking
like,
at-
that's the whole point of the entire game's collectability is gone.
I was looking at the crew. I was going through the crew stuff and looking at making sure, like, because it was first edition.
Yeah, you're like, doesn't
first
matter.
Unlimited, rainbow foil, cold foil, all the different things, and it's just like, oh, yeah, it's all kind of just one price. Besides the cold foil, if there's
probably one. I was gonna say foils probably are worth less in most cases.
Sometimes,
yeah, because I saw that before when I was selling, because no one wants the Pringle problem, and it's really about playability. That's where the value is.
Honestly, I think if you have them, the boxes to open would be Outsiders or Dynasty.
I don't think I have either of those left.
Dynasty is. Oh yeah, that was a win I had. I bought. When they first came out, I bought 3 Warmonger Diplomacy for like $20 each, rainbow foil. They're all like 80, 90. No, they're like $100 now.
And you sold them?
All 3 of mine sold, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I have some stuff that's worth.
That's a win, but that's like out of all the cards that I remember the price that I paid for them, most of them are under.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not selling. Every time I got to like a warrior section, I was like, no, can't do it.
Oh yeah, Monarch booster box case is what I have, and Uprising. So yeah.
No, do not open Monarch. There is
nothing. I know.
There's a reason those box prices are priced where they are.
Sitting on the shelf forever.
I started going through the Monarch cards, and I was just like, is anything of value in here? So I just opened up TCG Player, went to Monarch, sorted by Monarch only, sorted by highest price. And I was just like, I'm not even going to look through these cards. I have all of them, but no, I don't.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Maybe we'll get back to Angels, but I doubt it because it was overpowered, and they basically...
And we already went back once. We are going to go back again. We know we're going to go back. They said that it's a 3-part thing.
Yeah, so we're going to go back. It's not going to use the Angels, or it's not going to use the same mechanics because they were too busted. You know what I mean? Like, those cards are basically going to be dead.
And so that's why I'm more... Even if I do come back to Fab, that's why I don't really care if I sell them. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't even want to draft Monarch.
Yeah,
but
sad days.
Yeah, even if I come back to Fab, I'm just gonna need the new cards for the meta, anyways. So then I'll just buy the deck that I want to play. I think the mentality I had of I should have every card so I can build any deck is just silly.
Yeah, it works with Commander. And it works with Magic.
Yeah, it
doesn't work with
games
Fab.
that I had played.
The game itself is not set for it.
Yes.
Unless they come out with that PvE and it actually is a singleton format. You know what I mean? Or something like that. These cards are basically just drop off value unless they're in meta.
Yeah, it's pay to compete. And if you want to compete that season, buy the expensive cards. If you don't, you don't need to.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I come back, I'm probably just going to be showing up to draft nights. Because
if their draft is really good.
Like I've been talking about, it's just so like as a lifestyle choice of engaging with cards on a basis of showing up and having fun, opposed to grinding a particular meta into the ground for a competitive edge, which I used to love. That's not where I'm at right now.
Never did. That's why I got out of it when I did. I was like, yeah, I don't really like grinding myself into oblivion just to try to maybe be a little better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just not my jam. I like learning new things, and there's only so much to learn in Fab.
Yeah. Whereas with Limited, you have something to learn every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because usually the newest set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's sad, but I mean, you learn, you move on.
Yep. It is what it is. That will represent probably the biggest losses of my TCG collecting life. will be Fab.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Almost certain. Almost certain.
Mine's
for me.
Mine's the zoo.
Oh my God. I don't know how much you spent on MetaZoo, but
no.
Yeah. I definitely spent too much on Fab, but that was okay. Like I said, my cost basis was in crypto because that's what I bought it in. Right. So it's not as painful as it could be, but it's still kind of painful. Because if I hadn't bought that crypto would be worth a lot more.
Yeah.
not
exactly.
Not less as it is in Fab. It's worth less than what I traded it for now. It's okay though. You win some, you lose some. And I definitely made money on the Magic side of things. So.
Oh yeah, and Pokemon, I'm making. Yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah, I made money on Pokemon too. I just didn't do heavy exposure into that, so it doesn't balance it out really.
Mine definitely balanced it out.
Yeah, you always had a lot of Pokemon stuff going on.
I still do. I'm trying to get down to one. I'm trying to get down to one box of each set, and I've been selling those on Facebook Marketplace, and those have been moving really well. I did the same thing on Facebook Marketplace. I did just like the TCG player photos.
Yeah,
and that's working really well too. Now you have to go and meet these people, but I mean, they're typically...
You can't mail it?
You can, but a lot of these people, if they're buying it through Facebook Marketplace, they want it today, kind of a thing.
Got it.
They're like... So I have it set up as... You can have it like on your account, you can have like a preset meetup location, so I just set it to the Wawa down the street. So that when people want to meet, I can just go to the parking lot and meet them there.
Yeah. Do some shady deals from your trunk.
Yeah, pull out those shady boxes of Pokemon cards.
That's the nerdiest drug deal ever.
That has gone through my mind. What are you guys doing?
Some cops come over, yeah. What are you doing back here?
What do you got over there? Pokemon cards?
Pokemon. Oh, okay. That's weird.
But they're all they're all guys about my age or a little younger, and
that's so funny.
There was one really nice guy who he bought some Magic for himself and some Pokemon for his daughter. She must have been like 5 or 6, and so when I met them, she was so excited. That's because she was like, a whole box.
That's cool. That's fun.
And I think
spreading joy.
I think he got her the box because he got himself 2 collector boxes. And when he comes home,
he's like, "This is how I justify."
Yeah,
it's for the kid.
It's for the kid. Yeah. That's why I pulled the money out of the ATM.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, Uprising, sorry, just to go back on that real quick. I'm just doing what you did, sorting by cards. At least the dragons are in the 20s.
The Marvel ones?
Yeah, that's true.
That you maybe get one a box.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then go look at the normal dragon
Oh,
prices.
my God. $2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. It's so sad. It makes
so you can open a whole box and get nothing over $5.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I guess we're just gonna leave that on the shelf. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it.
There are some MetaZoo boxes with more valuable cards in it. I'm not kidding, John.
I believe you. I do believe it. It's just what the hell.
Now, are they the first edition boxes? Yeah, but they're all first edition. And
will you actually be able to move them?
No, actually, I don't know.
I don't know. I still have MetaZoo for sale, man.
Oh, okay.
It's singles, that is. I don't have any boxes anymore, but the singles have very rarely moved. I think when the rumor or when the IP got bought or whatever, then I sold a few more, but it was only a couple. I still have it's not even a 500 box, but it's one of the long boxes of it. About half of it is MetaZoo, the fancier MetaZoo cards are the rare ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't sell.
No.
So all the things don't sell. That is what we learn, except for Magic and Pokemon.
Fab singles sell that are in meta.
Yeah. And yeah, well, those are cyclical. Just put them up with the meta if you keep track of the meta if you want to sell those. But they're not selling on the rise of card games selling right now, because I feel like all the big games are in an upswing. You're seeing a lot of prices increase. You're seeing a lot of sales go through. I think Rudy was talking about, and some others, some of these are record sales of any type of box. You know what I mean? Was it Paldea Evolved he was talking about? It was crazy, went nuts.
Well, so here's the thing. Paldea Evolved, I'll tell you why. It was primed to sell well, in that It's one of the most. It's an earlier set. It's not base set, so there's less printed than base set. But it's the oldest box that's not base set in the series, and had hit pretty high, was going pretty high, and then recently got a reprint with that. So it was that and Obsidian Flames that got the reprint. So stores had it. Stores were able to get new boxes of Paldea and Obsidian. And so those are the two boxes that stores were able to list and put up on TCG Player, like the newer sets.
Gotcha.
So there's just more coming. And so when you have more supply coming, prices go down to try and compete and get them sold. And so that's probably why, because you're seeing Paldea at prices you haven't seen it in a while. And then on top of that, you have the 10%. And there's good
that
hits
always
in the box.
drives a lot of sales. And I think we're in a fairly up-tempo place, like economically. Like people were saying crypto's up, so people are buying stuff.
Yep.
You know, I think.
And I think crypto and Pokemon are tied closer than the other games.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's probably true, yeah. Because it's like a speculation to a speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, because I think Magic is starting to get those speculation collector people.
In the collector boxes only,
Yes.
really. Because
Right.
like the play boxes, you don't want to speculate on those.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. But the recent collector boxes, definitely, like Foundation's going to 3 whatever.
But the Pokemon is just the booster box. There's nothing more than that. That's it.
What do you mean? That's it?
Like, that's the highest price item. Like, there's no collector Pokemon box.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah. Ooh, Lord of the Rings made it to 1715.
Oh, I was curious.
It is up there. Do I regret selling?
Do you regret opening?
No.
No,
It was
I know.
fun. I enjoyed opening
it was
that.
absolutely fun. Yeah.
I'm actually tempted to open my other one because I got the other type, the cheaper one,
Oh, yeah.
and it didn't sell. I'm
How much was
tempted
that
to
one?
open it. $7.35.
Yeah.
I put it up for sale. I was like, if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, maybe I'll open it. And it
I mean,
didn't
it's
sell,
still
so I'm
moving
like,
up.
maybe I'll open it.
It was 600 back in September.
It is. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I made my money, man. At this point, I'm like, whatever I have on the shelf that didn't sell, I can kind of open it if I want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I have a lot
For
of, so I sold a bunch of my collectors. I had 2 of every one.
Yeah.
I basically sold every single duplicate collector box I owned over the weekend.
Nice.
I made a lot of money this weekend.
I bet. Sounds like it.
Yeah. And so now I'm like, okay, so it's the same theory as the Lord of the Rings one, where it's like I sold one, I can open one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the rest of them on my shelf. I'm like, I really want to open one of those.
Yeah. I'm holding on to my Lord of the Rings stuff. And
of course, you love it for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
for me, it's a collector box that
Yeah.
spikes in price and I can make money on,
I told my wife about it. I was like, so the Lord of the Rings box is hitting like $1,500. And she was like, oh, awesome. Are you going to sell it? And I was like, no.
She's like, you're useless.
Then
What's
why
the
are
point?
you telling me?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I do not care then. Yeah. Yeah, those collector boxes turned out to be a good play. Like, I think I made quite a bit of money on those overall. And they're small. Like, I don't mind having them on my shelf because I literally have one of every set except for like a handful, like the Doctor Who or whatever.
Yeah.
And it takes up, I don't know.
They are
case worth of space, like a regular booster box case worth of space.
If I were to start over, the only things on my shelf would be Magic collector boxes and Pokemon booster boxes. For the intention of resale.
Yeah,
I would have play boxes on my shelf for us to draft for sure.
Well, that's where I was like, how do I feel about because I like opening a booster box, but I like opening collector boxes too. So it's like, maybe if I started from scratch and I knew what I'd do is buy a case of every collector box, because I probably could have pulled that off if I didn't buy all the other things I bought. Right. Now, the downside to that is I wouldn't have built up my Magic collection for Commander and such, which was part of the goal, was to afford my hobby, right? To pay for my hobby. And I did that successfully. So, and now I have a giant collection of cards that I can use for building, and I'm very happy with that. But at the same time, from just a pure business standpoint, yeah, like a case of collectors. But there's so many downturns in collectors over the past few years.
Yes.
It would have been really hard to live
hindsight's
through it.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah,
It would have been
exactly.
very hard to live through it.
How many times were we like, oh man, like remember Crimson Vow? Like Midnight Hunt? Like those collector boxes were garbage and they dumped them on Amazon and all. You know what I mean? Like surviving that's very tricky. Very tricky. Very tricky. I don't know.
They were like $80.
I know. Yeah. There's no guarantee collector came back. And it's funny, like even Throne of Eldraine, which I think was the first one or one of the earliest ones.
Throne of Eldraine was the first.
It's only 242. Like it's not up.
Right.
So it's no guarantee of a win.
No.
I don't know.
There are no guarantees.
I made money. I'm happy with my money. I paid for my hobby. That was the goal.
Oh, same. Yeah. Now it's just, I don't know, moving on to this next phase of, since I'm really only interested in limited, I don't need to hold on to cards. So liquidating things that I don't need. And then preparing myself for Spider-Man next year because I'm going to do stupid things.
Is that your only set you're excited for that you're going to put money into?
Next year?
Yeah. Final Fantasy?
We'll see when they come to Arena and I draft them if they're play boxes that I want. But I think collector boxes. I may grab a box of Final Fantasy. I'll probably grab a box of Final Fantasy collectors.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide what to do. Like I didn't buy Foundations. I should have, but I didn't. It's fine.
I'm collecting the Universes Beyond ones that I have that I care about the IP. Like Doctor Who, I'm not sad I missed it. I'm not sad I don't have it on my shelf because I don't care about the IP. But if I even faintly care about the IP, I'll grab a collector box. But since I am incredibly excited about the Amazing Spider-Man one, I'm probably grabbing a case.
I think I just buy a collector's box to open and then buy singles from there. That's kind of where I'm leaning on it for moving forward with Magic. I was just talking to a buddy of mine. We split a box of Bloomberg, which I still haven't gotten the packs from him or paid him. It's like that long ago that we haven't seen each other, and I'm going to see him today. And he's like, "You still good for that?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever it was," because he already paid. Like, I'll pay whatever that price is. I don't know what they're at now. And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, this is a good deal for me because he gets a collector's box, he splits a booster box, and then he buys a bundle, I think, as a way to kind of have some openings, some card diversity, and then access to some stuff that he wants without spending too much. I was like, that's a pretty good play. Like that, I don't know if I want a play box or half a play box, you know what I mean? Sort of thing. That's where I'm like, I'm not sure. What do I want to open for each set that gets me feeling I'm getting the cards that I want in some of it. Because it's fun to open a box that you are excited to get the cards out of. Yeah. That's one thing I've realized over all this is like, I have some valuable boxes. If I don't want anything in it, I shouldn't open them up. Even if I make money on it, it doesn't feel that great.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't inspire me to build a new deck. So what am I doing with my time? You know?
Yeah. So. Would you want to open a booster box with 30 packs in it?
That's a tough call. How much does it cost?
We don't know that yet, but it's less than a play box.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. This is where it's like weird.
No, that's what was said.
Is it?
Yeah, there wasn't a price.
No, that's the problem.
Right. Yes, there wasn't a price.
We don't actually know anything right now because they haven't figured out what they're going to price things at.
Oh, wait, no. Boxes may decrease with this change, but MSRP for booster packs remains the same.
Yeah.
Oh, no. For the individual pack remains the same.
But that's the only MSRP they're putting out. There is no box MSRP anymore.
Oh, it's just pack MSRP.
Yeah. And so people are deriving a price, but it's all kind of bullshit. And it's all very much market will react. And it feels like they're setting up for the market to undervalue MSRP every time.
Yes. Which maybe is their intent. Because, I mean, that's what Pokemon does, and it's fine.
And yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Because, like, Pokemon, the MSRP for a Pokemon box in Scarlet Violet's $165.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
What does that do? I guess that works. I guess it works. Because then it means the players get their cheap cards.
You can still draft a pot of 8 with a couple prize packs left over. Because they increased the amount of packs from draft to play.
They did, yeah.
So now it's just bringing it back, but not fully or further back.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't think we can judge until we see how it actually works out. There's not enough details.
No.
That's the problem.
Correct.
I don't know. I don't trust Hasbro.
Aether Drift. So
I feel like every time they do this stuff, it's basically to milk a bit more money. So I have a feeling that's where this is leaning, even though they say it's because of demand. And
so for context, Aether Drift is when this is going to start. A Wizards representative confirmed that starting with Aether Drift booster boxes will have 30 packs. Box prices may decrease with this change, but MSRP for the pack remains the same.
Yeah.
I just don't understand when they got this feedback and when they decided to implement this. According to a representative, the decision came from a player and retailer feedback on Murders of Karlov Manor. With Aether Drift being the most viable expansion to make this change, according to them, both players and stores have stated that they would prefer display of 30 packs instead of 36.
Who says that? I don't understand that.
I wrote an email to myself.
Yeah, I guess people that want to buy boxes cheaper, like the price is too high for a play box.
I think this is them seeing, but the numbers don't show that because a lot of play boxes are selling.
Well,
but
sort of.
But they got this news at Murders of Karlov Manor when boxes did push down to like 70, 80.
Yeah,
I got my MKM boxes for $70.
Yeah, and they're still on sale on Amazon.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the few things that was a Black Friday sale was Murder. So
and there is actually value in those. Like if you can get them cheap enough, it's worth it to crack for singles.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because everyone ignores it. Nobody opens it.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
And then it's still in standard. And there's a lot of cards in it that are played in standard.
Huh. I don't know. That's a tough one. I think we have to see where it lands.
Oh, for sure. This is just a guess, but I just saw the opportunity to transition, so I was just like,
it was good. I don't know. I wish I knew. I think we need to see the details. We need to see how MSRP works out.
I think for me, it's a win. For me personally, it's a win because with these boxes, I'm getting them for us to play Winston or to draft with friends. And so a little bit cheaper box. It doesn't matter how many, like, because it'll have enough packs for you and me to do Winston. So a bundle does. A pre-release pack does.
Yeah.
Which I still have those 2 foundation pre-release packs, so we can do those.
Nice. That'll be fun.
And we can just do sealed or something with those. Because I know I have the advantage, but
I don't care.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Fine. I'll lose. I lose every time. I'm used to that.
But what I was thinking is it's kind of cool. We could do repeatable things with those pre-release because we can do sealed and then we can just keep the 2 pre-releases together and then shuffle them up because there's 6 packs of, and then do a Winston of each one.
Yeah, could do that. That's all I got, man.
Yeah.
You want to talk about economics?
Yeah, fill me in. Is it good news or bad news?
Uncertain news as usual. Until things are done, we don't know.
Market loves uncertainty.
Yeah, exactly. Markets love uncertainty. The last week or so, since our last conversation about it, there's been some more statements. Now, granted, statements are not policy or not official or not anything, but they seem pretty firm on them. I guess Trump came out and said Canada, Mexico, and China will have tariffs on day one. And he listed differing amounts. I think he said 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and 60 on China or something like that. Those numbers keep fluctuating and are changed every other time he talks about it. Basically said, don't take any of those as something to go right home about. But a couple of interesting facts. He's basically renegotiating the deal he renegotiated when he was in office because he didn't like NAFTA, which there's some legitimate complaints about NAFTA, and renegotiated it with Canada and Mexico before he left office. So this tariff is basically an argument that he doesn't like his own deal, and he would like to make it better for America somehow, and he believes tariffs are the way. Now, we talked about how tariffs really aren't that useful for American consumers, so I don't know what the exact plan is here, but it does seem like this is going to affect a lot of stuff because our gasoline is heavily refined from Canadian oil. They have a specific type of oil up there. I think it's something sweet, heavy crude or something like that. I can't remember. And we either pipe it or ship it in here to our refineries, which its capacity is like 80% structured to handle only Canada's oil, basically. Like you can't just say, turn this off and get it from somewhere else. The only other place I believe available is Argentina. And that is probably not the place we're going to get it from. I'm guessing just because of that trade policies and stuff with them. So look at gas prices and oil prices going up, which means shipping goes up, which means everything goes up, right? If this happens again. Now Trudeau, the prime minister came down, Trudeau, however you say his name.
Trudeau.
Yeah, came down to talk with him. And the results of that was that it's basically day one, it still has to happen, I guess is what Trump's saying. But we can negotiate after. So he's doing a strong arm approach, like force a thing and then get a better deal out of it.
Because that could cause some serious damage to the Canadian economy.
Oh, it wouldn't hurt them as much as us, but it would hurt everyone. That's why we have the NAFTA deal. That's why we had these North America deals, because North America's economy is incredibly integrated. Like when you buy a car, it gets bought, or the parts get bought from various places, China, Taiwan, America, all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets put together partially in Mexico, partially in the US, and partially in Canada often. Like it literally, the car goes to all those places, or the parts of it go to all those places before final construction. So like this disconnect of the economies that a tariff will cause is going to make things like complex vehicles, things like that have these multiple facilities just all messed up. And this is not stuff that can be changed fast. It means like building a 100,000 square foot facility just for the construction of this one part in a different place, which means, you have to find a place you can build it. The land's cheap enough. There's labor that's cheap enough. You know what I mean? Like fixing, like doing the results of this, or I guess the idea is to like create US jobs, which I get, that makes sense. But the reality is it's not going to happen for decades. Like you'd have to keep the tariffs in place, and the pain would be felt at the consumer level for decades before anyone would be able to react and create the jobs that it's saying to create. And by that point, everyone, as we've seen with like MSRP and boxes and stuff like that, like everyone's used to the new prices, and then it just gets inflated again beyond that, because now you have to pay for local labor, which US labor costs more than Mexican labor, right? Like that's, so I don't know, man. If it actually happens, it looks like a lot of chaos. And the ironic part is it's an argument that his own deal sucks, because he was the last one to do a deal with Canada and Mexico.
But it's the art of the deal.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's gonna hurt, a lot of stuff. I'm looking at a new kitchen set, refrigerator, microwave oven, all that stuff, because those are all going to go up. These are those complex devices that get built in multiple places,
Yeah.
Cars, obviously, and then lumber.
We were going to redo our kitchen this summer.
Yeah, most of the lumber comes from Canada. So anything, if you remember during COVID, how lumber spiked and all that stuff happened, that side effects of furniture backlogs.
But it didn't come down from last time.
Oh no, it doesn't come down.
Yeah,
That's not how inflation works. Inflation doesn't come down. It just you rise to meet it.
Yeah.
That's why anytime you do something like a tariff that causes inflation,
it's sticky.
You better be ready for it, because it does not come back down. It very rarely do prices come back down. What happens is the economy grows into it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, and this is the part where it's a little uncertain how this will work, the trade deficits that we have that are created because of this, and then the retaliation that's created because of this, because Mexico's already said like, no, like we're not doing that, and expect us to put tariffs on your stuff too, right? Sort of thing. So it's like, if it gets into a real heated back and forth, you could see all sorts of distortions that will cause increases in prices. And then of course, as we saw during greedflation of COVID, every corporation that's even slightly touched by this will use it as an excuse to jack prices further so they can hit their margins and get their bonuses because they're reporting quarterly, right? So they're
Yeah.
like, hey, we need our extra profit margin. All we have to do is say inflation or tariffs or whatever, and
Yep.
someone else takes the blame and we get record profits, all right? Like,
Yep.
it's not inflation if you're hitting record profits. Inflation is an input increase, not an output. Like, the profit part is a choice.
Here we go again.
Yeah. So if that happens, you'll see a lot of pain. And then the deficit where it is, there's this thing called a Liz Truss moment. It's I don't know all the details, but basically when Brexit happened, they tried to do some fancy economic stuff and it didn't work, and trust was lost in the UK economy, generally speaking. And feel free to correct me if I get these details wrong in the comments. But essentially, when trust was lost, people weren't buying their debt. And I don't know if you're familiar, but our bonds are sold every quarter.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. It's basically how we fund our country. It's a debt structure, and everyone worries about the debt getting too high. When the debt gets too high, people don't trust your debt, meaning they don't trust that you'll pay back at the rates that you will default. Now, I doubt anyone's going to believe we're going to default anytime soon. We are the world's largest economy. We're massive, and it's very tricky for this thing to change. But if we get weak demand for our debt, it starts to have impacts. It means you have to increase the interest you're willing to offer, which then increases global interest rates. So your housing, your loans for a car, your loans for everything, like, it starts to seep into everything and becomes very damaging to the general consumer. And
that's why you have like the 10-year tracking very differently than the...
Yes. Yeah. And that's where we're at right now, where it's like these bonds are not on weak demand yet, but if this sort of trade deficit stuff balloons the deficit, which it looks like it will, and on top of that, there's a tax break he wants to expand. It's going to add $5 trillion, I think it said, to the debt, just to give the wealthiest people tax breaks. That one makes me insane. And it's a high priority, apparently. So they're going to try to do that very soon, because I think it has an expiration. It's from when he was in office before it expired after 5 years or something like that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So if they add $5 trillion to the debt over 10 years, and then all this other stuff with the deficit, we might get our Liz Truss moment, in which case weak demand for our debt will have ripple effects to everything else. So hopefully none of this is happening. Hopefully it's bluster for negotiation, and there's a better deal that comes to the table, and we can keep the North American Trade Alliance going, not NAFTA, but some form of it going, because it has been very beneficial for all three countries, and it's been very, very good for the U.S., both consumer and jobs. It, like, when they did, even his last deal, actually, when they did those deals, it created more car manufacturing jobs in the U.S. as a result, because it went from being partially overseas to just all in North America, and it created this corridor of travel for the parts going up and down, basically Mexico to Canada. And it created a ton of economic activity through that region. And it's like, that's potentially going to be disrupted over this. And that's middle America. So I don't know. I hope it's bluster. I hope it's not really going to happen, but we will see. We'll see. Sorry for the bad news. I'll try to come with some good news when I hear some.
Well, the good news is I don't have to worry about cars, because I just paid off my car. So there we go.
Yeah.
Completely out of car loans. They're all paid off, or both the cars are paid off, and that's super exciting.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, get out of debt.
Yep.
If you can.
Yep. Yeah, it was one of those things that I got it when I think it was like 0.99% interest. And so I was just like, this seems silly to pay off until it got to a certain low number. And then I was just like, yeah, all right, we'll just make this go away.
Get it done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Now, my question is, should I start speculating on GPUs, buy up every GPU I can, and then sell them in a year for... No, I'm just joking.
That seems risky and silly.
Don't do that. Yeah. don't do that, people.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like, here's the thing, right? When
you store refrigerators in my basement until the...
Yeah. So, okay. So take the information you just gave.
Yeah.
What do you do in the card world in 2025 because of that information?
See, the card world, I don't know how much impact it will have, because none of the tariffs are affecting Belgium or Japan, which is where cards are generally from. Now, if it's a third-party game, or not third-party, a small game that's China. We talked about that, right? Like that will probably be impacted, right? But all the big
or they
games,
switch printers.
Well, that's possible too. But honestly, like all the big games, like I see almost no impact.
Don't Magic and Pokemon both have access to printers here too?
Yes, yeah. I believe there's US for both of them. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. But they definitely have Belgium and Japan, and none of those are on the tariff list. So it shouldn't have an impact on that. Where it does have an impact again is like if I can't afford my car or my refrigerator or my daily stuff, my fuel and whatever, then I'm not buying more cards, right? So you reduce demand, which then of course creates issues on individual pricing.
Yeah. And then
that's the biggest impact I see on cards is just like economic slowdown because of these kind of extra taxes or tariffs basically translate to a tax on the consumer. Extra taxes essentially costing and making everything cost too much. Therefore, you don't have extra money to throw at packs. That's where I see the impact on cards.
Yeah.
If it happens, please don't happen. Please don't happen. Yeah. It'll be so disruptive to American economy. Really, like we're in a pretty good spot. Inflation's pretty low, although it just ticked up a little bit, this is even more concerning because they weren't sure if it was settled. I don't know about the Fed stuff, but the Fed has been, slowing down. Like, okay, we can cut these rates down. And there was always a question of, are we going too fast? Maybe we hold off a little bit. And they're kind of on that border zone, and it just ticked up again. It was a tiny bit, so it's like basically noise. But if it isn't actually tamed inflation fully, right, and then you throw this fuel on that fire, then that inflation could get crazy out of control. Crazy. So hopefully we don't see that. Like I said, hopefully this is bluster. There's a lot of that in the way Trump deals with economic stuff. And to his credit, not something I do often, but the North American deal did work out for American economic benefit. So, maybe some bluster works out. We'll see.
Yeah. Can always be hopeful.
Yep.
Yeah, we're long enough in the podcast. Only the people that actually care this far.
No one listens this late. It's like one person. Hello, one person. We appreciate you.
Yes. I was at Thanksgiving dinner, and one of the guys at the table, we were talking, politics came up. Most of the people had left the table already. And one of the women were just like, I don't understand how this country could have made this choice. And the guy's response was, you want me to tell you the truth? The country you live in is not as great as you think it is. And that has stuck with me. Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole concept of American exceptionalism is definitely overplayed, especially when you talk about economically. Yes, we do have something, and that is a thing. Like, you can mathematically look at economic factors of America that defy economic rules. I remember this was like, I forget, it was international finance. I think it was 301 or something back in college. And my teacher brought this up, said, this is a thing, and said, we're not going to talk about it. Because it defied what we're supposed to be learning about these economic foundational rules, like if this happens, like supply and demand, right? How these things work are more complex than that because of the 301 class. But basically, these are rules of economics. If this happens, that happens. If this happens, this happens, right? And we have lots of examples that prove it. And then the idea of American exceptionalism is that it doesn't in America's case. And I can point to why, but the reason they didn't want to get into it is because it's very political. Essentially, it has to do with the hegemony of oil in the economic structures as a whole. I think I brought this up on the podcast before. There's three core things in every economic civil structure, and that's energy, information, and what is the third one? Energy, information, and finance. Mm-hmm. And they are core to basically all economic activity. Energy, and we'll just focus on that. Oil is the key energy that runs the globe right now, right? That's the way it's run. And so what happened is that we tied our debt so you could only buy oil in US dollars, making infinite demand for our dollars, making our debt basically infinite. We could get into as much debt as we want because someone had to buy oil tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. and that creates all these distortions in normal economic rules as a result. And that's it. That's exactly what made America great. Like, if you want to know what made America great over the past 100 years or whatever, it was the fact that we pulled that off, and the world agreed. And the trade-off was that we would protect the Western world militarily. Right. Now we're backing out of that, and what happens when they stop buying oil in dollars? Some have already started to.
Yeah.
Then our debt comes due. That's what happens. Now, none of that's something that happens fast. Like, that's decades of time and lots of deterioration between here and there of a lot of things before that happens. So, but that's why we were great. That was our exceptionalism from an economic mathematics standpoint, is that everyone had to buy oil, and they had to buy it in the US dollar because that was the agreement.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't mean financial. I think he was. He's
just like, your people aren't that great.
I think he was just meant. I think the reference was to the morality of the country.
Oh,
because but financially, you can't argue with how great America is financially, but morality. It was the morality aspect of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's been an illusion for a long time.
Yes, I agree. I just think as I get older and these things happen, my eyes
it becomes more clear.
Yeah.
You're like, damn
it, this sucks.
Oh well.
Now I get why everyone just stays at home and does nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool. Well, on that sour note.
Yeah, sorry guys. No wonder no one listens to the end. They're like, I don't want to have you brought down.
What's a happy note? Happy note. Did you get anything good on Black Friday? Did you buy anything fun?
I did not buy a thing. I looked, and no, that's not true. I bought some clothes on like Thursday or whatever, because last week, because it was started, and we're doing back to office soon. So
that makes sense.
There's a bunch of stuff that was like, these are the styles I get for my work clothes, and some of them are getting old, so I might as well get some new stuff because I know I'll be back in the office more. So, I bought some clothes. That's about it, though.
That makes sense.
I just did it from online. Like, I didn't even go to a shop. I don't.
Amazon was very convenient, and when I loaded it up, it was like, here are your recently purchased items, and there are all these things that, like, laundry detergent, things we buy.
Yeah, you buy every month or whatever.
We buy every month, and so we went down that list, and we were just like, whoa, like everything's like 30% off. Let's just re-up early for next month.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. And I think you're seeing that across a lot of these companies that are worried about tariffs, right? They're pumping their returns right now because they know it's going to be trickier going forward. So.
Yeah. And then I went to the dispensary, and then they gave out fruit snacks for $1 and drops for $0.01, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So
nothing else for me.
Yeah, I was like, let's stock up on things that we normally buy.
Yeah, I was very tempted to buy like the fridge and all that stuff, but we decided to hold off.
Yeah, we were tempted looking at computers, and then we were just like, but our computers work just fine.
That's basically where I landed on that one too. I know we talked about that last week.
I'll bite the bullet and we'll buy a computer when we need to buy a computer.
Yeah.
I think because it could go another 2-3 years.
Yes.
And then that's just value that. And then in 2 to 3 years, I buy a nicer computer than I could buy now.
Yeah, and who knows if tariffs are there at that time? Who knows if they've happened yet? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many variables on the win of this, which I think is the ultimate thing that makes everyone, like, the uncertainty impact the economy, is everyone holds their breath. And when the economy holds its breath, that tends to be a bad thing. You want it to keep moving. You don't want people to stop buying because they're not sure, right?
Oh no, we're still buying. Yeah. Always be buying.
But should be fun next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, until next week, when we have more information about what's happening in the world, because the week has gone by.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
A week has gone by. We'll know some things. Like, we'll know what happened on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
That's true.
It may not be relevant, but
fair enough.
We will know. So until that time, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.